Welcome to Toxicology, brought to you by Recovery Unplugged, the place where we talk about all things substance abuse, recovery, and mental health, with guests offering varying perspectives and viewpoints. Hosts Joseph Gordo and Jason Cabello share about their addiction and recovery and other serious subject matter through lighthearted yet candid conversation. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Toxicology, the greatest podcast about recovery, addiction, mental health, and music. We talk a lot about music. I think we kind of neglect to say that we do, but, being that Recovery Unplugged is our title sponsor, where music makes the difference. Recovery Unplugged is a treatment center that treats substance abuse and mental health struggles, all using the power of music. And I'm a living testament that Recovery Unplugged saves lives, Joseph Gordo is not here with us this week again, but rest easy. We will be back together again next week. It's been a while. I kind of miss him. So we are just going to jump in today with our special guest. Here he is, Mr. Nathan Green.
Hey!
There we go.
All right.
Good to see you.
Good to be here, man. Great to be here.
Yeah, so Nathan Green, he is co-founder of New Level Radio, which is, why don't you just tell us?
Yeah, thanks. Hopefully I can fill in for, Joe, okay, and be a supplement, for a week, and I'm sure he'll crush it when he comes back. So, I'm Nathan Green with New Level Radio, co-founder of New Level Radio. We are the industry leader in curating on-property music experiences for our clients. So we take kind of a similar approach to what you guys do, but more in the retail environment, and try to give people good vibes and great feelings through music and make them have a happier day, hopefully.
Yeah, because I know when I go into the grocery store, especially if I go in a little bit earlier in the day and they start playing I'll hear Level 42. I remember one day I was in there, there's something about you. I am spending more money than I would have before. I'm buying I'm buying the quality stuff there.
Oh, me too.
I'm not getting the store brand cola. I'm going up.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting the good stuff because
great song too, by the way. That's my jam right there. That's a good one. Yeah, it's amazing how, a great song somewhere you're at can change your mood. So I'm sure that's a benefit whether you're in a store or whether you're trying to get through some tough times. So that's a great thing.
The tough times thing, I've talked about it here before, that when I went to Recovery Unplugged, I had been to 19 treatment centers previously, went to Recovery Unplugged one time, and it's not like going into treatment so many times, you hear the same stuff over and over. I didn't hear anything different, I don't think, I didn't hear anything the 20th time that I didn't hear the first 19 times.
Sure.
But there was just something... it was a little bit of willingness that I was, in a different place and kind of ready to accept the help. Because that's a big thing. I've asked for help a million times, never accepted it. I always kind of took control back and then stopped wanting to listen to people. But first day in Recovery Unplugged, I'm still detoxing. I'm coming off of, let's just say, a solid 12-year heroin run, opiates and heroin. So it's, I would have some breaks in between when I would go to treatment, but I'd always go back. So, it took me a while to detox. And my first day in group, they didn't ask me tell us about yourself. So I was like, we know you're not feeling good. Is there a song that you could play right now that could kind of tell everybody else how you're feeling? And I was like, yeah, I can't, and it kind of perked me up a little bit. This is how I could communicate, because music is such a personal thing. Even though it's a shared experience a lot of time, you and I could sit here right now, play a song, and we'll be in two completely different worlds, enjoying it in our own way, even though you're listening to the same song. So it's something that's very personal, and, just the way that it affects your brain chemistry and can elevate your mood. And, on the opposite end, too, it could be traumatic for some people. Some people could hear music that maybe takes them to a place they don't want to be.
Yeah.
But, with working with therapists at Recovery Unplugged, they've come across that. And I know for a fact that Joseph talks about, some experiences where somebody was triggered by a song, and then they could reshape the way that it makes you feel, like kind of talk you into having a different response to it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how, sometimes a lot of the stuff is subconscious too on the music. So to your point, you might have a song that brings up a memory that is amazing, or a song that brings up a horrible memory. And, how do you take those two and decide what to do with each one of those emotions? And I think there's tools that, you can use just from an organization like yours, or just on even a different side of things when you're experiencing music throughout a concert or in a business. And, whether it's a positive or negative emotion, it's important to identify, once you have that information, how do you keep the positivity going? Or if it's negative, how do you translate that into something positive? And I have a feeling, not from personal experience on the recovery side, but from knowing what I know about music, that it is a powerful, powerful thing on both the good and bad side of the spectrum. But I do think that even if it's something that does trigger some emotion that's not necessarily positive, there are ways to refocus and kind of repurpose that thought to identify how that happened and how to change that going forward, for sure.
Right. So Jeff, Nathan.
See, I'm already doing a great job.
Yeah.
I'm already, yeah.
So Nathan and I met a few months back. We'll get into exactly how we met a little bit later in the show. But we got to finally meet in person yesterday. We went out to have dinner, and we just started talking about some music stuff, some mental health stuff, and I'd like to let's just hear a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about your story, because you are not in recovery.
Right.
You are what we like to call a normie, and that's not derogatory.
Something like that. That might be taking it too far, but yeah.
So that is not a derogatory term.
Yeah.
But just you're not in recovery per se, but you do, you said that you've had some mental health struggles and stuff that you deal with every day. And, we talked yesterday about how we were both into a little bit of meditation and how we like to, try to just channel better energy, and how that's helped you. So tell us a little bit about your journey, your story, who you are and what you do.
Yeah, that's thanks. I mean, it's, my journey, I guess, is probably similar to a lot of people's. It's trying to get through life and do the best you can with the tools you were given. And then as you get older, trying to enhance those tools and bring those up to more of your age and be a better person in general. So, I grew up a great environment. I always had kind of some anxiety issues as a kid that still pursue, panic attacks, things like that when I was younger.
You told me that you were like 5 years old and drove past a cemetery, and
it's like, what's up with that?
Had an existential crisis.
Seriously,
at
I know.
5.
It's like, Mom, Dad, what? This is weird. Why? I mean, so very obviously, very kind of intrinsic things must be in my chemistry or something that has those. So that's always been something I've dealt with, and I think that music for me was always. And it's so clear now, being older, that music was always such a great tool for that. If I would just throw on some music, I'd put on classical music and just lay on the couch in the sunroom and fall asleep. Or, then it evolved to DJing parties in high school. And just that connection I always had to music, I think, was not only cathartic in just general life, but also just for some of the anxiety stuff. And, I was really thinking about this more last night when we started kind of shooting the breeze, that, it kind of comes when you're starting to think about mental health and music. A lot of times maybe I haven't put those in the same category per se, but I've really started to do that a lot more the last, couple of years, as I've started to think about, meditation and mindfulness and gratitude, because those things help you to really understand more of kind of where you got to where you were. And I think that everyone has, whether you're in recovery for addiction or drugs, or you're just going through normal life, everyone has anxiety issues and mental health issues. And it's amazing now that, things like what you guys do and other organizations, that is, you can just talk about it so freely. And I'm thankful that what I do for a living crosses over into kind of what I like to do just in my own life, and listen to music and be with people and support people's journeys to being a better version of themselves. And whether that's through music or whether that's through meditation or whether it's through swimming, I don't care. As long as you're becoming a better person daily and the best version of yourself, that is something that I am fully support, and my company fully supports that too. At New Level Radio, we are outwardly and openly honest about, hey, we're all going through stuff. I'm never the type of guy that's like, oh, I got it all figured out. I deal with my own struggles, and I know everyone else does too. And it's when you can just say that out loud, that's so healthy just to be able to say it. And I think that's a great thing. Yeah, and
it for me, whenever I start talking and thinking about this stuff, it just makes me feel a little bit lighter, to know that I don't have it made. I don't know what's going on. I still question everything. And that's a big thing about like 12-step recovery. It's like you never say like, I got this beat. That's why you continue. That's why people still go to meetings after years and years and years and still have to, like, if I'm not going to meetings or putting myself out there to help the new guy who doesn't know what to do, then I'm not doing the right thing, because that's what people did for me. If it weren't for that, if it weren't for like my sponsor and friends of mine who are in the program, and it doesn't even have to be in a program, but just people who are trying to move away from damage they've caused or try to become a better person.
Sure.
I had some friends, from the street who had gotten clean, and these were some pretty, I wouldn't say nasty people, but they were, not the kind of guys that you really, you'd probably cross the street if you saw them walking towards you, and their attitude about things and just the way they carried themselves, that's who they were. And years before I got clean, I saw a friend of mine, Kirk, and he was just a different person. And I didn't know, that he had gotten clean, that he had quit using drugs, quit drinking. But I remember seeing him out somewhere, and he looked like a different person. And I was just like, what's going on? He was like, yeah, I got clean, And I was like, okay, so you went to court and they mandated this and you're getting drug tested and what's this? And he's like, no, I'm just, I did this for myself. I'm attending these meetings now, and I'm not drinking. I'm not doing anything like that. And it planted a seed in me because I wasn't ready. But then once I started having my struggles, I had struggles for years before. But once I started knowing that I had to do something about my struggles, I called him immediately. And the first day I called him, he says, I'm here whenever you're ready. And it was probably another year later to when I finally called him, and he picked me up and took me to my first meeting. We were talking about, you got in my car and I was listening to Rick Rubin's new book. And you're like, oh, what are you listening to? Is this some like meditation stuff? And it's Rick Rubin's book. I forgot exactly what it's called, but something about like the creative mind, and it's about the creative process. And it's a lot of it is just like keeping your antenna up for the positivity and for things to inspire you. Because I know when I was out there using and looking for drugs, my antenna was up, and I could find what I was looking for in a negative way. So there's no reason why when I turn things around and want to do things more positive that, just change your frequency.
Yeah.
New Level Radio, change your frequency.
That's right. Exactly. We're doing that every day. And you made a great point too about always continuing to do the work, right? And this can be reflective too, just in your own life, not necessarily even through addiction. Just as once you're clean, or if you were never using anyways, is how am I putting in the work every day to be a better person? And that's a hard thing to do, especially if you're comfortable or you feel like you got it beaten already, whether it's addiction or success. But it is so uplifting and so refreshing when you continually work, and I really try to do stuff that scares me all the time, because some of the things that I do, like traveling all the time, I'd rather be home with my family, and I get separation anxiety and all these things, but I do it because when I do something like this, I meet someone like you, we have these interactions, I become a better person, and also I become a better business person and a better father and a better leader to my team and a better person just to people on the streets. And you said something so critical about finding the positive. That's a choice, right? Whether you're in addiction, you're not in addiction, you're an entrepreneur, you're a dishwasher, you always have a choice to look to the positive side of things or find something to be positive about.
Yeah.
And I think that, I'm so happy that our culture in general is just so much more, not only our culture just in America, but also business culture. It's so cool that most of these companies are really allocating mental health days and mental health scenarios into their business platforms.
I mean, you and I are, just around the same age, a couple years apart. When we were younger, that wasn't you couldn't go and be like, I need a mental health day. Like it wasn't in the 80s and 90s.
No way.
It was, and it's so cool. Like my girlfriend just got a new job a few months back, or actually almost a year ago at this point. And the company that she works for, like they give her mental health days. They have these days when, you will just you'll do like a group meeting with your team and you'll just talk about stuff. Yeah. And it's so cool to see, like I was fortunate enough to not have, I don't suffer from depression, which I am so grateful for because I know a lot of people who do, and I see when it's just this dark cloud that comes for apparently no reason. It's not sadness. Yeah. It's just this depression where it just seems you see the heaviness in them.
Sure.
And just to be able to advocate for somebody who's feeling that, because I know I felt terrible when I was coming off of drugs or when I was on drugs and couldn't stop. So it was definitely situational, and it was, definitely something that I had brought upon myself with, choosing to take drugs initially. And, there's a lot of argument when it comes to that. Like, is it a disease? I believe that it's a disease of addiction because so many people experiment with drugs.
Sure.
But then some people, once they start experimenting with them, they can't put them down. And that's what I had, like I had seen the cautionary tales because I didn't start till I was like 23 years old. I smoked a little weed and maybe did some psychedelics, but the hard stuff, I didn't start till way later. And this is after I've seen friends overdose and die, after I've seen friends just become completely addicted to heroin. And, once I started going down that path, nothing was stopping me. I couldn't intellectualize stopping. But that heaviness came, and luckily for me, doing some work, it went away. I still get in my head about things, but I know how to do things. Like I could say to myself, I don't want to feel like this way anymore. Like if I'm having an argument with in my head with like somebody who doesn't even know that I'm having these feelings about them, like I can turn it around. And that's such a gift to be able to do that. And for people who really can't turn it off like that, to be able to, it's okay to say now that like, hey, I'm not okay, I'm struggling, and like, let's find you some help, it's a lot easier to ask for help these days.
Absolutely. I mean, just getting your experiences and your fears out of your mouth is the hardest part for a lot of people. And once you do that, there's something so cathartic about that feels just you've put it out there, right? And you don't have to feel guilty about it, or you don't have to feel that you're the only one. And then you realize you're not the only one. And I think it's, this translates, and we're obviously covering such a super important part of the addiction side of things, which is, the other side of business and just life is so minimal compared to that. But there really are some important overlays between those two that you can take to both sides of those points. And that's, having a support system that's there for you, whether there's addiction issues or not, having someone you can talk to when you need help, and somebody that will call you to the carpet if you need to, hey, Nathan, like, dude, you got to slow down, like maybe take a week off traveling, maybe don't drink for a couple days, that's going to trigger anxiety, those things that and it's nice. It's nice and / important to have somebody in your corner for that you can get that off your chest, but also, there's some accountability there just in real life. And I think that it's, we've been fortunate enough too, when you're a small business or you're entrepreneur, you have the luxury of being able to kind of control your time for good and for bad. And
right.
I think what's nice is that allows you to be more in touch with these type of things and dive deeper in with people that you work with, that work for you, that you work for, because you don't have the past constraints of kind of that corporate model. Now, as we've said, that's changed substantially in the last 5-10 years, where corporations understand that if things aren't right upstairs, all the other stuff doesn't matter anyways. Productivity, excitement, employee engagement. So I think it's as we are kind of weaving these two things together, it's really interesting to me how surprising it is that, there are so many tools out there now, and you just have to use them, and there is a conscious choice whether you want to recover or whether you want to be better in business or you want to be a better dad or husband, that you have to take that one step every day to say, you know what, this is good and this is why I'm doing this. And then you just keep doing that and make it repetitive. And it's then some good stuff can happen.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of it has to do with, or a lot of it kind of came to light during COVID, when it's like the whole world had a chance to didn't even have the chance. They kind of had to just sit at home. And then, the world changed, and whether people had these same feelings that I did, where it's like, I was scared. The entire world is changing now. You're taken out of your everyday where you're going to work, this routine that you have, and now you're kind of at a standstill. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew how long this was going to be. Everybody's at home, a lot of time for reflection.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people took that reflection and realized, like, I think I need something a little bit more. Maybe it was just being stir crazy and not even being able to leave the house for God, was it a year almost? Like being sort of, stuck at home except for necessities. And I think I don't think it was healthy for a lot of people, but I think it gave a lot of people opportunities to look for better things to do, look for, getting back into hobbies or whatever it is, mental health stuff. So now when things started opening back up, these telehealth companies that do just, therapy from an app or from home, like just skyrocketing. And Recovery Unplugged, actually, during, over the last year or so, we've launched our virtual program. So now, and it's not even just for addiction anymore. So it's mental health struggles. We have a ton of different tracks so people can, you don't even have to leave the house now. So say you're working, you can't get away for a 30-day program. You could do this stuff online, and it's helping so many people. And even if you come out of treatment, a big part of the Recovery Unplugged thing is the community that you get afterwards. So say you do have to go, you come to Austin for treatment and then you leave. It's a good way to stay connected and to keep centered, and it's available there for if you need it. So
yeah, that's important. I mean, I think COVID really, it did a lot of things, good and bad. I mean, first, I think it sent a lot of people down. If there was addiction or those type of issues, I think it got worse for most people because the human connection was lost. And at the end of the day, that's really all we have, at least in my opinion. And the touch of someone, a friend, a hug, just going and shooting the breeze with somebody and having a brew, like that kind of stuff was all eliminated. And I think for a lot of people, they went down a dark hole. But on the light side of that too, it also gave you clarity on what's important. And I think a lot of people understood that the monetary side of their life, the job, if they were done with it, they're like, I'm sick of this shit. I'm done.
Right.
Like I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm not fulfilled. I'm not happy. And that pandemic gave people permission and the opportunity to do something else. And I think that was a beautiful thing about it. You know, I had my own existential crisis too with like, because every single business was closed. I mean, I had a company.
You didn't drive past a cemetery, did you?
Yeah. Oh my God. Exactly. I probably should have. But you know, I was worried that like, am I going to have a company after this? Like our casinos were shut down for months. You know, I mean, you're talking about my livelihood, my family's people, my employees, you know, people that count on me for money, you know? And so there was that moment, like, who am I? Like, is my identity my company? Is it my family? Is it, so, you know, I think there was a lot of things that came out of that started negative, but became positive, and it allowed people to be better versions of themselves once we got back out. And it's nice now that the stress levels on just normal day-to-day, I really noticed with our casino clients that there was a big exhale in stress levels for them. Before, I mean, they were just like Tasmanian devils every day, just going crazy. And I've really noticed in the last year or so that they're much calmer, because I think they realize that this shit's not that big of a deal. Like, it's casino, it's gaming. People are here for fun. This is not, we're not curing cancer. We want to create a good vibe for somebody. So why am I'm putting all this stress on myself? So, and what that did for us as a company and just individuals, it allowed us to take an exhale too. So I think, you know, to your point, it was dangerous for some people. And I do think that mental health got a lot worse during the pandemic for sure, because everybody was so insulated. But then it also birthed some amazing tools like these, you know, telehealth apps and things like that. So now we're on the other side of that, where you can use both tools. Hey, if you're too busy to make it in this week, dude, let's just jump on a 20-minute call and then try to get in and see me in person when you can. So back to the positivity, man. It's just keeping it all moving forward and finding that light whenever you can find it.
So when you were going through that stuff during the pandemic, going through your existential crisis, not knowing what you were going to do business-wise, thinking if, you know, do I have to rethink my life, what I'm going to do? How did you handle it? What were the positive things that you did?
I walked like 7 miles a day, like every day. And that was amazing. I would take my Spotify playlist, like basically all the tracks I had ever listened to, and I would just hit shuffle. And I had a little deal with myself that I would never change the song. So I even if it was a song I wasn't really feeling, you know, because my playlist is like, dude, you would be like, this guy's like, you know, bipolar on acid with a side of crazy. I mean, it's like you're going from like Celtic Woman to like NWA to Carrie Underwood to like, you know, Michael Bublé, and it's like all over the place. But that was cool for me because I just, as I would walk around, I would just think and listen to all these songs and just take it for what it was. And I think that was really helpful to like ground me and get me, because I had literally nothing to do. Like I went from being the busiest I'd ever been in my life, like nonstop emails, calls, traveling, to like nothing. And that was, I know for a lot of people that was probably great. For me, it was hard because I was like, I'm such an on-the-go person, and I was just like, what do I do? Like, but in those moments, I really got back to myself and just understood, like, this is why I'm doing. This is why I started New Level Radio, because of what I'm doing now, what I'm listening to, the feeling I'm getting, the feeling that hopefully I give somebody when they walk into one of our properties, or the feeling an employee gets when they hear a special song that was created for them, or the feeling that someone has when they really need to hear a song that is going to make them feel better that day. So it was extremely interesting during that time, but I think the growth pattern for me was helpful, and it's still, like you said, there's no magic bullet for anything. You know, everybody, even last night, like I was like super anxious and wasn't sleeping for like 2-3 hours. And it's like probably because I knew we were doing this today and shooting videos, and that's subconscious, and I'm away from my family. And it's like, okay, like now you're in it. Like, what do I do? Like, I had to use my tools last night to figure out a way to go back to bed and do that. So it's never, whether it's addiction or, and this is just my opinion because I'm not an expert on that subject, but whether it's addiction or just manifesting your own success in your own relationships, every day you need to work on it, and you need to make it a priority to tell the people you love them, make them feel special, and then make yourself feel special, because if you don't do that, then you can't really make anybody else feel special either.
Yeah. You know, I've come to appreciate that a lot too. Like the people in my life who all I really have to do is be present, you know, like my girlfriend, my mom, like these are people who all I have to do is be there and be present and spend time with them. And to have people like that in my life, you know, not everybody has it. I mean, I didn't have that for a lot of years, you know, and I chose isolation. So being on the opposite end of that and being able to really appreciate, because I am such a social animal. That was another thing about COVID that drove me insane.
I bet.
It was like because me and my girlfriend had just moved to Austin, and we intentionally got a small house so we could live in a neighborhood that we wanted to live in, because the plan was we both had offices to go to during the week, and then we would have dinner and weekends at home, and we'd have our own little cozy tiny house. Fast forward 3 months, everything shuts down. We're both working from the same couch. And, you know, it got a little bit claustrophobic, and, you know, I couldn't go anywhere and like interact with people. And I just felt so stir crazy. And, you know, I stopped doing all my meetings, and just moving from Florida to Austin, Florida, where I had gotten clean. So I had a big community in my recovery circle, my sponsor, I had sponsees. I could go to a meeting and know everybody there, to being completely isolated. And man, that was tough for me to regain traction on it. But, you know, luckily I did. And there's that moment of, what do they call it? Jim Carrey talks about it all the time. Is it being conscious?
Mm-hmm. Probably, yeah.
Or consciousness.
Okay.
So that moment when you realize, like if you meditate, right, and you notice that your brain is going into other thoughts, that moment when you realize my brain is going into other thoughts, let me get back to my mantra or whatever it is, like that's the moment that you're looking for. Is because it's just like recovery or anything else. There's no destination to it. It's the act of giving yourself the time to sit and not make excuses like you're too busy. As I was telling you, I heard somebody talk about meditation, like meditate for 20 minutes a day. If you don't have 20 minutes a day to meditate, make it 40 minutes a day. Yeah. And it's like you have to make it a priority to give yourself, you know, the time to just do whatever centers you. And because it's like when you're in active addiction, you think that you're only hurting yourself, but you're like a grenade. You know, you're hurting everybody else around you. And then when you take this little time to make yourself better, it radiates. You know,
yeah.
Like if I wake up in a bad mood and I'm stomping around the house, and you know, it could set the entire household off into bad moods. But if I start the day off positive with a smile, greet everybody I see with a smile, it makes me feel better. And then hopefully so on and so forth, and like a ripple effect. Yeah,
it's amazing what the littlest things can do for people. And that's what I always say. It's like, you know, just a little text to somebody, hey, how's it going, man? You know, a quick call. Like, you know, somebody, I saw this thing. It's like, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's the guy that does all those insurance commercials, but he had a speech somewhere he gave at some university, and he was like, you know, if your parents are alive, call them every day and tell them, just say hi, you're good and things are great, you know. And that's something I've really been trying to do, you know, be better at, because both my parents are around, and it's like, I understand that, you know, that's such a gift to have. And just as a parent myself, you know that all you really want for your kids is just to be safe and happy. Yeah. So if you can do that for your parents every day, I think that's such a great thing. And really, one thing I do pride about myself is I do check in with people a lot. And probably when you really break it down, it's for me as much as it is for them, just because it's my personality. But I also really do care. And I understand that just saying like what's up to somebody can change somebody's whole day. What you were saying, the way you start your day is how you're probably going to finish it most times. So if you can kind of kick it off in a good way, positive, then that's going to benefit you throughout the whole day and the people you interact with too. Just a little smile to somebody on the street or buy somebody a coffee you don't know. The littlest things, you get as much out of that as the other person does. And, you know, everyone has addiction issues no matter what it is. You might be addicted to working out, cocaine, jogging, sweet treats, therapy.
Just slip cocaine in the middle there.
It could be anything. So the point is that, you know, it's important for you to identify, you know, where your negative triggers are, whether it's addiction or it's just negative triggers in your personality, and then turn your needle the other way to being more of a light for yourself and the people around you. And I think it's more doable than people really imagine. It's the little things add up to big things at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was in a therapy group in not the time that I was unplugged, but one of the other 20 times, and this therapist, he would just drop these little bits of knowledge every now and then because he was one of the listening types. Like he would just kind of let you talk, and then somebody in there was just in a terrible mood and just took the whole group hostage because he's complaining and he's like, I'm having a bad day. And then the therapist was just like, it's your day. You could change it right now if you want to. And the guy kind of just stopped. And then he stomped out of the room. He didn't want to change his day. But he could have, you know, or could have at least tried. And I think that's a big part of it is just trying. When you were talking about, you know, your parents still being around there, have you ever heard the band Pine Grove?
I don't know if I have.
They're a pretty current indie band. They have this song called Old Friends, and there's a line that says, I should call my parents when I think of them, and I should tell my friends when I love them. And every time I hear that song, it makes me reach out to somebody. Like I'll text my mom, because we usually talk every morning anyway. Text my mom, even just a little heart emoji.
Yeah.
And then I'll look through my phone list and just be like, this is somebody who I haven't talked to in a while. I'll just, you know, give them a call and just be like, hey, man, how you doing? Because with a lot of friends my age, and especially a lot of friends in addiction, you'll get a call sometimes from somebody. You'll see the phone and you'll be like, who died?
Yeah.
You know, so I like to try to call people and just be like, hey, man, you know, I was just thinking about you, just seeing how you're doing, just wanting to say hi. And, you know, it makes me feel better. And it's, you know, just those little things that you could do to try to improve your day and help somebody else. Just, you know, because it always makes me feel good if somebody does that to me and just be like, you were thinking about me? Like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's okay to have a bad day. I mean, that's I think the biggest delusion for people, especially for ultra positive people, is they think that person's always positive, or they're just seeing things through rose-colored glasses. But really, it's nothing further could be from the truth. Those people are making a conscious choice all the time to, even when they're having bad days, you still accept it. You're like, this is a crappy day. I accept that. Bad things happen. Obviously, horrible things happen, and you have to deal with that. But once you've kind of accepted that, then you have a choice of how you react to it at that point. And it can either be something that could be debilitating, or it's something that you can rise from and try to be a better person, whatever that is, whatever your journey is in that regard. So yeah, and you just, the little things do make a big difference for people. And you'd be surprised how, you know, one little text could brighten somebody's whole day. Hey man, just what's up, dude? How you doing? Everything good? Everybody good? Give me a call. 5-minute call.
Yeah. Could
be a game changer for someone. Because you know, they always say you never know what people are going through, right? And that's true.
Right.
Like all these interactions everywhere we go, coffee shops, gas stations, restaurants, flights, like you don't have any idea what that person went through today. So like, if you can just kind of be a cool person in general, like I think that's a good thing. And whether you're in recovery or whether you're just doing your thing.
A great place to take that into practice is the airport, because you're always going to... You're stressed out. Everybody else around you is stressed out, but you don't know why somebody is there flying. You know, somebody could have died.
Right, that's right.
You know, because that's the kind of place that brings out anxiety for people no matter what, even if you're just coming home or going on a vacation. It's this little like vacuum where it's like, everybody in this line right now is going to be stressed out for the next hour until they get on the flight. Hopefully it ends at that point. But then at that point, you know, you get stuck next to a crying kid or something.
Sure.
You're stressed out because of that. The parents obviously stressed out because their kid's crying and disrupting everything. And it's just such a recipe for disaster. That's where I find, like, I try to do my best to just, like, listen, if this guy's cutting the line, like, I'm not going to start a fight here.
Right.
Like, I've seen too many videos in airports. Nobody wins.
Yeah, no, that's a lose-lose.
Nobody wins in that situation. So I always try to get to the airport super early. I'll upgrade my if I'm flying like Southwest or something, I'll upgrade so I know I could go right in the front of the line and just move to the back of the airport because I don't want to be part of that rush. The first people trying to get out, I'm like, I checked bags. I'm not gonna stand up the second the thing dings and try to rush out in front of everybody else. So,
Absolutely.
and you get the opportunity to do that in a couple hours. You're flying home.
Yeah, no, I know the travel frustrations a lot. You know, it's hard because we all want to control our narrative and our space, and it's, you know, the biggest awakening in life is when you realize like control is such an illusion, then you really have no control of anything. And that's exacerbated the most at an airport environment because you just don't have much control over what's going on. And it brings out the worst in people and it brings out the best in people. But, you know, accepting that it can give you a little bit of peace when you're traveling or just in life in general, when you can just take a moment just to realize, you know, it's going to be okay. This is not worth causing a fuss over or getting upset about or being confrontational. You know, it's better just to take a breath, like take a breath or two. Like that's another thing that's so underrated is just breathing. It's like, it's mind blowing what that can do for you. Just a couple of deep breaths. Like, and so, yeah, that practice definitely needs to be taken advantage of when you're at an airport for frequent travelers or first time travelers, no doubt.
Yeah, whenever I get super stressed out and I think like things are feeling insurmountable, there is. Have you ever heard the story of I forget the guy's name, but they call it the tap code. He was in the POW camps.
Yeah, I have heard this.
In I think the Hanoi Hilton.
Yep.
And I listened to a story like that where this guy is being just completely tortured every day for his life. Every day, you know, he was in there for a couple of years, right?
Oh my gosh.
And he had built this separate world. He was building a dream house in his head. You know, he didn't have anything to write it down with or anything. And aside from coming up with the tap code, which is a way that he could communicate with people in the opposite cages or whatever they were in, he like in his mind built this home that he knew, you know, or at least convinced himself that one day he was going to build that home and lived in it. And he did. Like,
amazing.
Yeah, somebody cutting me off in traffic has, you know, when something like that happens and I want to freak and lose out, I try to think about something like that. I'm like, this guy was getting poles literally like shoved down his throat so he couldn't breathe. And, you know, he goes back and dream and like manifests this thing that would make him happy, and he did it. So
that's the power of the mind right there. I mean, it just shows you what it can do in the darkest of times. And, you know, perspective is a great thing. It's an example like that. If you can think about that, it gives you perspective and time to evaluate your own life and understand that you have it better than 99% of the world. And then also giving yourself the permission to be like, but my reality is still my reality. So yes, my problems are first world problems. Yes, my fears are the same thing. Probably 99% of the stuff I worry about is probably silly, but it still worries me. So if you can kind of walk down both those paths together, that's a clarity, I think, because you do understand how blessed you are. You do understand that someone like that went through some insurmountable odds to even survive.
Right.
But then you can still give yourself permission to deal with your own frustrations and fears and not let them just consume you or build up and then have rage or anger or depression or whatever it might be.
Yeah, musician Jeff Tweedy, who fronts Wilco, he was in rehab and was talking in his book. He had written about being in group with this guy who watched his father kill his mother and then started feeding him as a child. Like this he was a child when this happened. Then he started feeding the kid alcohol to try to make him forget about it. And then, you know, it went so on and so forth about, you know, this guy, how his addiction started with that. And then Jeff Tweedy was like, well, listen, man, I'm just a musician who takes too many drugs. Like, I don't think I qualify here. And that guy was like, no, man, your pain is real. Like, your pain is your pain. Like, just because this is what I went through doesn't mean that you're not hurting and don't deserve to be hurt as well. So it's, it's all relative.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, it's, as a musician or, especially people that are in the music industry, I think you guys have probably figured this out, just how important incorporating, musical aspects or even just tools that you have. It could be meditation, therapy, whatever, but can help you to grow and get out of where you were at. So, I think music, just because I am totally biased because I love music and that's what I do every day, but I think that's the best tool because it's something that everybody relates to. It crosses all boundaries. It crosses all ethnicities, all socioeconomic boundaries. So, everybody can agree. They don't have to necessarily agree on the song, but everybody can agree that music is a powerful vessel for many things. And if you can use that in a positive light to help people grow out of a bad situation to a positive and use that tool, I mean, what's wrong with that, man? That's a great thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Music, it brings so many people together. Like, just what you do, what Recovery Unplugged does, and just like the happenstance that you and I would meet about this stuff and be able to talk about that. It just shows that, it brings people together. Yeah,
it's a trip. I mean, this is happening because of music and because of our connection through Lisa, and that's through music. And it's, that there's proof in the pudding right there of like great things can come from just some cats sitting around that love music and that are using music to benefit people's lives.
So you mentioned Lisa.
I did.
This is how you and I met. Friend of the podcast, friend of ours.
Yes.
Let's bring on we have a special guest today,
that's right,
folks. So let's go ahead and bring in our special guest.
Jazz hands.
There we go.
Yes.
Lisa Pascarosa.
Hello.
Special surprise guest. Were you on the first episode of Talksicology?
I might have been. I don't remember.
I think it was like the first or second. It was when we were still doing the Dope Sick Roundtable, right?
Yes.
We were watching the show and then doing... So you were one of the first guests of Talksicology.
Yes. And I'm back.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we met Nathan through Lisa, who works at New Level Radio.
Yes, I do.
And we brought this whole thing together. You guys came to Austin. Lisa and I were able to, so I'll tell the story briefly. Lisa's son, Justin, was my roommate at Recovery Unplugged. He was also my partner, Gabby, and Justin were dating because she was on the podcast and talked about that she followed a boy from Austin to Florida. That was Justin. So it's just, it's like Justin is like the center of our universe here. And unfortunately, Justin, coming on 4 years now, correct?
March 31st will be 4 years.
It'll be 4 years since Justin had overdosed and passed away. He was not, he was actually trying to detox himself off of alcohol and then got a pressed pill or some pressed pills that had carfentanil in them. And, it ultimately ended his life, unfortunately. Yeah. So, Lisa and I, she was nice enough to let me come out to her home in New Hampshire. We did a documentary that's on our YouTube channel. It's called The Justin Enoch Story. And Lisa has been very open and now advocates and talks to parents about not enabling to take a little bit harder stance when, you see your child is clearly, even though you might not want to believe it, clearly struggling with something, but is telling you otherwise, how important it is to pay attention to the signs, to be vigilant. So we went to Recovery Unplugged yesterday. We got to show the documentary, and we got to talk to a lot of the clients that are currently in treatment there. And I neglected to tell Lisa exactly what we were going to do. I had it so planned out, and I'm trying to plan all these different things, and like I got it confirmed. I could have swore I told Lisa that that's what we...
You forgot that.
I forgot
Little
that.
tidbit.
I just told her that we were going to go to Recovery Unplugged, and then she's like, the lift is a little late. She's texting me. I'm like, well, our group starts at 9:15, so I'll show the documentary first. And then I think she was just kind of like, what? And then she gets there, and they're like, oh, you're the speaker? Come this way.
Oh, man.
Surprise.
Anxiety kicking in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did show it, and afterwards we did a little Q&A with the clients there, and it was just so touching how many people just opened up to you and said things like, my mother enables me and I don't know how to stop it. And you generally don't think like that's the reaction you're going to get. You think it's going to be more like, I manipulate so much that they don't have a choice, but it's like, no, like no matter what I say, they're going to take my word for it and continue to let me struggle, I guess is the right word, right?
Yeah. I was very surprised actually at how many of the people said, my mother's enabling me. What should I do? What should I tell them to make it stop? And I was floored that how open they were. But it made me feel so good that, that they were asking me, that I was not like I'm some kind of authority, but just going through that whole experience and being able to help them. I was blown away.
Yeah. I know Lisa pretty well. I've done some interviews with her, and I see when nervous Lisa comes out, and it definitely, right afterwards when people started coming up to her, it was like she shifted right into, the motherly instinct.
Yes.
How can I help you?
Yeah.
Here are some resources that I have. And what was the group that you told them about?
Learn to Cope. I think it's more based in New England area, but it was amazing. There's regular groups that get together, and basically you're with parents of people in addiction, your children or other loved ones. And, you're talking about your own experiences with your children. It was an outlet that really you could just be honest, open, and let them know, what was going on, and get information on how you could just cope with everything. At that point, when I finally went there, I was addicted to Justin's addiction, and it consumed me day and night. And I didn't sleep. I was just so out of touch with everything, and it was very hard to just go about my regular day. It was hard to sleep. It was hard to function. And when I did go to the group, it amazed me, because I felt that, I'm the only one going through this, and, I'm enabling Justin, and, I must be a really bad person. And then in actuality, I went there, and there's all these people, and it was so good. And it was the best thing I ever did. And being open and honest and asking questions, and people there were able to give me answers and exercises to try and things to say when, I would be asked for money, or, all the manipulation with Justin trying to, do what he did, and for so long was able to do it.
Yeah.
So, and I made a lot of friendships there too with other parents and other people, and I still stay connected with them. And I have to tell you that after being at Recovery Unplugged yesterday, last night was not like a good night of like peaceful sleep. That anxiety came back. And so I kind of had to go back to my tools that I've learned over time to try and deal with, just thinking about the guilt and all the things that I felt since, Justin passed away, and it is. You just go back. You have to go back to your center and kind of go to the positive things. Think about certain things, and not get into that dark hole where everything is horrible. Step out of it. Okay, today's a new day. Think of those positive thoughts and think about the good things, the good memories, and kind of move on from it. It was a little bit of a tough night.
And it's so funny, right when you had gotten into town and you and I were making our plans, somebody had tagged me in a Facebook post, and it was just about a TV show that we all watched together when we were all in treatment. It was my friend Coyote, Justin, and our friend Brendan. We would all nerd out on watching True Detective. It was like our favorite show. It was like our combined show. Yeah. And then Coyote had put something on Facebook about it and was like, "This makes me think about you and Justin." And it was just, we went into a record store yesterday and you saw some T-shirts.
Yes.
That were like, you saw 3 T-shirts right next to each other that were all T-shirts that Justin wore and had. And, you were like, I feel like Justin's here with us.
Yeah, the 3 were together. It was 2 Nirvana T-shirts and Pink Floyd, and he had all 3 of them, and it was like, he's here with us right now. Yeah.
And with the birds, with the Blue Jays, we have a thing with Justin and the Blue Jays. And Gabby had gone to, because Gabby and Justin had dated and remained close afterwards. They remained friends afterwards. Gabby had gone to a psychic, and this was a few years back. This was probably like a year and a half ago. Maybe like 2 years ago. And the psychic was like, "What's the deal with the Blue Jays?" Did she tell you about that?
She did.
Wow. And Gabby was like, "Well, a good friend of mine had passed, and that's like, whenever I see a Blue Jay, I think like he's coming by to say hello." And then she goes, "Are you thinking about getting a tattoo about it?" And she was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "He says you don't have to." But she got it. She got it.
Yeah.
And every time we see those birds, we definitely.
And I do too. I think of it all the time.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
But it's so. It does my heart good when I see you being able to give back and help others, even though we know you're hurting, and that I can't imagine what it feels like, but I'm sure it never goes away. But we're very proud of you that you find the strength to be able to give back and to talk about it so openly and to want to help others.
Right. Thank you. I think it helps me when I talk about it. It helps me heal. So it's not. In the beginning, it was very hard, but I actually feel good. I love to talk about Justin. I like to talk about the good things. And, so many other people do too. When I was at Recovery Unplugged yesterday, I forget the gal's name. Brittany. And she was like, she told me a funny story about Justin. I love that. And so many people do that. And it just makes me laugh. Yeah. Makes me smile.
We started talking because Justin was my roommate and he wasn't the neatest guy in the entire world.
Starting from when he was a little boy.
Justin had this way of binge eating cereal, but getting a new bowl every time and then just leaving him around.
Under the bed. He did that his whole life. And so nothing changed.
And he stole clothes all the time.
I told Nathan the story about how he took your clothes and you saw him out.
Yeah.
And he had your outfit on.
His band was playing and, he was my roommate. I have all my clothes put away and I go to see him perform and he's wearing all my clothes. And I just walk up to him. I'm like, "Those are my clothes." And he's just like, "Yeah." Not even.
Don't I look good?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
What's mine is mine. What's yours is mine. But I miss him a lot. We talk about him all the time, and certain songs will come on. And is there any certain song that you hear? I know we talk about Radiohead a lot.
Yeah, Radiohead. I always remember "Smells Like Teen Spirit" because he would use that with his drum set. He'd be in his room, that would be playing, and he would be playing right along to it, like perfection. And I always remember that. But he always loved Blondie. And before he passed away, we did karaoke at a place near our house. And he and I got up there together. And he was like,
awesome.
Mom, you have to help me with this. And it was...
Did you get nervous?
Of course I did.
Yeah.
And one thing, Justin could play any instrument, and he was so good, but boy, he couldn't sing. And so I was like, wow. And it was, I'll never forget that, but he loves so many different kinds of music. And even the music that he played, I don't know if you heard any of the stuff that he played, like with Cormac and Alex.
I did.
But he had a very distinct sound, like when he
very
drummed.
jazzy. He was very influenced by jazz and could play it too, which is, it's pretty rare to hear like a younger kid play jazz so well. He very, very talented.
Yeah.
We used to stay up because him and I instantly we bonded about music because, we're in Florida. You don't get a lot of people that have that broad of a taste with music. When we were there, it was mostly people who were, very like one-track mind when it came to music. Mm-hmm. And then Justin and I, we were in the van going from Recovery Unplugged back to, the housing. And we were just talking, he was talking about being a drummer. And I wasn't expecting him to know, but I was just like, oh man, one of my favorite drummers is, his name is John McIntyre. He plays with a band called Tortoise, which Justin his eyes lit up instant, and he was like, Tortoise? And then from that moment on, we just talked about music every single day. And then when we finally got out and were in sober living, when we would get off work, because we were working together, we would do this thing called song for song. So he would start with the song, we would listen to it, and then I would pick a song, and we would just stay up until the sun came up doing that. Yeah. And that really helped me in my early recovery, because it was just... it was passing time, which is a big thing to do. And it kept me out of thinking, about getting back out there and stuff and just the community of it. So, he was a huge part of my early recovery, which was, set me in the direction to continue to do so. And he continues to inspire me. Yeah.
I mean, the whole music part of Recovery Unplugged is what, number one, like I had said before, I did so much research on trying to find another recovery center that would be a good fit for him. As the past ones were just, he would go leave. When he got to Recovery Unplugged, he really was like, wow, this is, he enjoyed it.
Yeah,
he connected with everyone there, and but him being able to play the drums and play other instruments, play all together with people, it was amazing.
Yeah, I was talking to Clifton yesterday, and I told him that I was going to see you. Clifton Fair was Justin's therapist.
Oh, he loved him.
And they were just, we were all so close, and every time I see Clifton, we always talk about Justin, and he asks about you, so. He said to say hi.
I say hi back to him. He's such a nice man. And not there for just Justin, but he was so helpful to me as well. And then that was huge because, he always was very honest, let us know what was really going on with Justin. And that had never happened before in any of the other treatment centers. So, yeah.
So y'all work together. You guys travel together.
We do.
Quite a bit. It's so funny watching you guys because you guys have like your own little language and your own little jokes that you mentioned you guys do. So what do you guys do? Say you see Nathan feeling a little down, right? What do you do to lift his spirits? What's going to...
I could immediately just go to him and be like, Sal.
Yep, that would work.
Sal. What's going on, Sal?
Yeah. No, it's I think it's cool. We have like... And I think we talked about this earlier. It's, the way we work together, and hopefully everyone feels this way in New Level Radio, is that it's really, more of a partnership with everyone. And everyone kind of has the freedom and the openness just to be themselves and have fun. And there's not these dynamics at play where it's like, oh, we can't joke around because you work for me, excuse me. I mean, it's just, we just don't have any of that. So I think it allows everyone to hopefully feel comfortable, and then it makes it more fun. And that's really at the end of the day what we're trying to do.
Yeah. It's a very relaxed environment. So anytime we get together, I look forward to it because I know that not only are we going to have like good meetings and, it's not always about work, but just I always feel good when I'm around Nathan, that he brings out good things in me, positivity, encouragement to do better, to learn new things. And that's for everybody in the group. We're very cohesive, I think, and we're all kind of on the same page. And I know you talked about, maybe there's times maybe where you're not having a good day. I'll get a text from him, or I can reach out, be like, oh, I had that like anxious feeling, and I'm like, whatever. And then we talk, and we're end up laughing by the end of the, the phone conversation. And to me, he's like a go-to for that. He's very positive influence for me, and which is so helpful.
It is, and it shows in what you all do, because it's, like you said, it's like it makes things more fun. It makes things more enjoyable. Music it's a wonderful thing, and to be able to work in it in any capacity and make it like your livelihood, like how fortunate are all of us to be able to do that, and that
no doubt
you guys have such a good relationship, and it seems like you guys have a lot of fun when you go to work.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when we connect, and like Lisa said, when we travel around the country, and it's a lot of work, but we also have a lot of fun, and we prioritize both on the same level, and that's the way I want it, because we do these team meetings a couple of times a year, usually in Florida, and it's like it's really planning and building out kind of our next goals. But what it really is just getting everybody in the same space, having some fun, having some food, enjoying each other's company, and just really being in front of each other face to face to get that experience. And I think we, every time we connect as a company or just in person as just friends too, it gives you a good jolt of energy and gives you that willpower and that push just to keep doing what you're doing. And it makes you feel proud and happy of what you're doing too. And I get a lot out of it myself, just, what Lisa's been able to do for us, and just helping grow the company and being such a asset. And we've been blessed to have her with everything. And, at the end of the day, it's music, man. We want to have fun, and we want to make people smile. And we want to do that hopefully in our day-to-day lives too.
Right.
It's great. So, not to get you nervous, Lisa, but the way we end our show is a little segment called Rapid Fire Question Time.
It's Rapid Fire Question Time.
Oh, no. Here we go. Uh-oh.
Why?
Bam.
So I'm going to ask a question. You all could go one at a time, back and forth, however you want to do it. Okay? You ready?
Sure.
Hit the buzzer.
First concert.
Rush.
Beach Boys.
Beach Boys. Nice. What era was this in Rush?
I'll have to tell you. So I remember it perfectly. It was probably early 80s. And I wanted to go to the concert.
Like Closer to the Heart era?
Yeah.
Rush, yeah.
So, and I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, I want to go to this concert. He drove me to meet my friend. I got on a bus and told him it was local. Well, it was at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, New York. Wasn't really supposed to be going, but I did, and it was awesome. And I went with a friend, Ginny Hilfiger, if you know
that's a great
the
name.
Hilfiger family.
Oh, wow.
They're actually from Elmira, New York, and it was a pretty cool experience. It was awesome.
That's sweet. Yeah, so I was having my birthday party at a AAA baseball game. It was the Zephyrs, and the Beach Boys were playing after that baseball game. So I was with all my friends and my parents, and it was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Okay. So this is a Joseph Gerardo question that he asks all the time. Ben and Jerry's approaches you. They're going to make Lisa Pascarosa's signature ice cream. What's in it, and what do you call it?
Chocolate. Let's see, what's in it? Wow.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I can't even, I'm not like a huge ice cream eater, but no, it would be like a black cherry with chocolate in it, like chocolate chips or something in it.
What are you calling
I'd
it?
have to call it the fluffy special, I guess.
I love that. That's awesome. That
Because
sounds
everybody knows
delicious.
that's my name.
Yeah.
I'm going to do mint chocolate chip ice cream with peanut butter, and I'm going to call it the Green Smash.
Gabby and I argue about
That's
mint
funny.
chocolate chip all the time. She was like, that is disgusting. I'm like, that's the only ice cream that I could buy that I know she won't eat in the house.
Nice.
funny.
I love it.
Win-win for you.
Yeah. Time travel vacation. Where are you going? And where and what year?
Time travel vacation. I think I'm going to go back to, I've always wanted to, so I just met my 100-year-old cousin. I want to go back like 100 years so I could live that story with her because it's very interesting.
That'd be a long vacation, but that'd be pretty
I
cool.
know, but you know what? To go, I really,
if you're going to time travel, you could.
if I'm going to time travel, I'm not going to go last week. I'm going to go
And then you
100
can come
years
back
ago.
and it's only
Right.
a day past, you know,
Right.
or not
But
even.
yeah,
So
Bam.
okay,
yeah.
I'm for that. And what about you, Nathan?
I would like to go back to, so my granddad grew up on a farm in East Texas. We still have the land, and I would love to just go back there and just kind of see like him when he was a kid growing up on the farm and just all the stuff like what life was like and in that time period for not too long, obviously,
Yeah.
but just a couple days. Yeah.
Okay. Worst concert you've ever seen?
Ooh, worst concert. Oh, the
blocked
Grateful
it out.
Dead.
Really?
Ugh. Horrible. Not my bag.
Oh, what's the worst concert I saw? I always try to put a bow on everything, so that's hard for me to. It's like Red Rocks Amphitheater. You know, you could see somebody like scratching glass, and it would still be an amazing concert because of the
Mr. Positive.
because of
over
the
there. I
venue.
like
But
that.
this is probably going to sound really. I wasn't a big fan of. Oh my god! I just had a total brain freeze. Oh my god! What's his name? He's like one of the most popular guys ever. He sings.
Michael Nesmith.
No, I can't remember.
What's he
Yeah.
look like?
I don't remember. I'll have to remember his name.
Okay,
Yeah,
we could
we're good.
bring it back out.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, what's the secret?
I'm sorry.
What's the secret?
What's the secret? I don't know. What's this?
What's the secret? You guys both seem pretty happy. Seem like you got
Very happy.
been through some things, but you managed to keep your head above water. So what's the secret?
You know what? All the challenges that I've experienced in my life have turned me into a much more positive person with like my outlook is completely different. And I'm just thankful for that. I have a lot of I'm just a very grateful person.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, the secret for me is I feel amazingly blessed in everything in my life, and I think I've been very fortunate to have an amazing life, and I don't take it for granted, and I feel like every day I make it as good a day as I can, and that seems to work very well for me, and I just love life. I just love
Right.
doing stuff.
All right.
And also my husband is the best guy ever.
Your husband is one of the best guys
He is.
ever.
He did.
Ron Jovi rocks.
We
He
love
does.
Ron Jovi.
Ron Jovi is awesome. And honestly, he is a big part of why I am the way I am now.
He's a good guy.
100%.
You got a good one.
Thank you. I think so.
All right. So closing words. Anything you wanna pitch? You wanna talk about? Final words to somebody who's out there still maybe sick and struggling with addiction.
Yeah, just say, find your positive point every day. Find one thing that you can smile about and take that one thing and then make it two the next day. Just one thing each day.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to talk and ask for help. Reach out to people, talk to people. People will listen and,
Come out of the woodwork
come out.
to
Yeah,
help.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. So, as Joseph likes to always say, there's 1,000 ways in, there's 1,000 ways out, and we hope you find yours. Joseph Gerardo, wherever you are.